All right, welcome everybody to the Eve Growing Concepts. Today's video we're going to talk about the T55 continuous flow system. I said on my Facebook group that I decommissioned these because fermenting is going so well for me. I wanted to experiment with continuous flow systems. You know, the Vermi bag, the urban worm bag, and some of these other continuous flow systems, the hungry bin. And I certainly didn't want to buy one because I think, again, whatever they're manufacturing or making, as good as they are, we can make it better using stuff that's readily available in urban settings. So this was my particular design, probably from other designs that I've seen on the internet, but this is my take on a continuous flow system, 55-gallon drum, invincible for the most part. I was doing my no-no in these ones, a major no-no in this one, and it worked really good. But I did have a problem with house compost. It just didn't seem like it was breaking down fast enough for me. I was getting more castings from my fermenting system than I was getting from this machine here, or contraption right here. And I did fill it up. I started at the bottom. I put a lot of carbon newspaper, a big layer, and then I started building up with composting rolls. And I think, and we'll talk about this in other videos, I'm messing around with composting balls. I don't know, many of you people who followed my channel way back when I did composting balls, and it didn't work out as expected. But I've come up with a couple different ideas I've been working with this winter, and I think I'm coming up with an even better way to keep your bins dry and moist at the same time. So this really worked good with the number 2, my number 2 rolls. About a year and a half, I think I used it. I had a smaller version of this one that's out back. You know, the wheel, I had a wheel in it, and I'll show you that by the end of the video to show you how that one worked. That worked good. There was enough space. This is a true 55-gallon drum on top of a half a drum. This is your collection area here. But I don't think you have to use 2 bins or 1.5 bins to get a good bin. I think you can do it with 1 bin. The very first prototype that I did. And so anyway, this is it. I've got to design this for outside, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to recommission it, and I'm going to do my dog and cat stuff out here. And what are the other no-nos that I could think of? It's got a handle here, you turn it, and it kind of gets these bottom castings moving. And that's, once you start it, here's what I've been doing. I don't have that much experience with these continuous flow systems. Some of the people on our Facebook group are very knowledgeable about them, and they were talking, it's a different way of vermiculture with this massive amount of space. And it just wasn't coming fast enough for me. But you know what? After I did that post, telling I was going to decommission them, I went and started emptying them out, and my compost did work good in here. It did look pretty good. I got all worm castings out of it, so I guess I kind of jumped the gun when I wasn't that impressed with a continuous flow system. But I've been rejuvenated with a couple ideas, and I'm going to start and experiment back with the continuous flow system to see how it compares with my fermenting system. So anyways, again, this was designed for inside. There's no holes up here. I'm planning on putting some holes around here, similar to the ones I have all around the bottom here. And basically with this, I have it on top of here because it's a drain hole, or 2 drain holes down here where the liquid goes. Hopefully I won't need them, but I found in my basement that I did need them. And because I run them dry, I thought, but for some reason I was getting a lot of liquid down below. This liquid acidic slurry that's not good for the worms. Made from 55-gallon drums. The T stands for tubular or tunnel, right? Vertical tunnel. And it's 55-gallon drum, so that's where the name comes from, T55. And basically it's 2 pieces, but again, I think you can do it with just 1 55-gallon drum. I think that's plenty for a household. That way you can, you know, save your barrels, because of course, we'll talk more about that. These 55-gallon drums make awesome grow towers, as many of my people on my Facebook realize. They make awesome grow tower. We have this T55, and if you can see the bottom there, those are bucket straps that I just ran with the urban worm bags. They go in a tunnel. And this one is just a little different, so you don't have to do it in a tunnel. This holds back the material so the worms can work on it, and then it falls down as finished material. One thing I noticed with the T55 is a lot of my reds, when I was composting my twos, would end up at the bottom. And from my understanding, from the people I follow who have these worm bags, is you don't get many worms. It wasn't that big of a deal because I don't mind sifting the worms out. I kind of like moving them around and seeing what's in there. But there was a lot of them down there. And that's kind of where I got my worms when I was doing my fermenting. If I needed extra worms, I'd just go to the bottom of my T55, and that's where a bunch of them would be with my my two no-nos, which always comes out nice and dry. As I've said to many people, number twos are like the favorite food. It's right up there with pumpkin and watermelon and all the gourds that worms love so much. Anyway, that's the top part. This is the bottom part. And this has a crank, so you can kind of, I don't know, I think this might be a little overkill, but it's kind of a neat little thing to have. And the bar also holds this up better, because there's a lot of weight. When you get this full, there's a lot of weight that gets into here. And as you notice, I've got a bunch of holes here. These are my aeration fittings. If you don't know what aeration fittings are, and you want to get into vermiculture, and you have all these different bins, check out some of the information I've posted on that. I'll put my Facebook links below. We talk about aeration fittings, and we're going to talk about a lot of other stuff. So that's the bar, and I've got this rinky-dink handle that I could do better, maybe later on. And then the access area here is, you can either use plastic or you can use this screen as I have here. This definitely keeps the worms in and keeps the other unwanted vermin out. I usually have a rubber band here and a rubber band here, and that keeps it nice and tight. The beauty about this is, of course, with this big aeration hole, you probably don't need these side aeration holes, but the beauty about it is you can use plastic too. Let's say it gets too dry under there where your castings have fallen in, and you can put a plastic face cover in here. So it's interchangeable. It's just little things that I made out of conduit. It's perfect on top of there. 4 of them like this, and it comes off. Usually what I do is I take the 2 top ones and it flips down, and I take my castings. And of course you got 2 drainage holes, which this one came off there, but I'll fix that when I put it back into commission. Okay? So that's that. These go like this. This screening, by the way, I get at the Goodwill stores and the Salvation Army. Like lots. I wait until the ticket item is on half off. Get a big roll of it for like $2. And these things are great for screening, and they're also good for sifting. We'll talk more about that in other videos. So the T55, this is a collection area, huge collection area, of course. And of course you get a full 55-gallon drum for a work area. So this certainly must compete with the Hungry Bin.
Hi, I'm Ben, and I'm the designer and inventor of Hungry Bin, a continuous flow worm compost system. Hungry Bin is a very fast and simple way to produce extremely high quality fertilizer from food and garden waste. The liquid and casting produced by a Hungry Bin is simply the best fertilizer there is. A Hungry Bin will process up to 2 kilograms of food waste per day, but it doesn't matter if you have less than that because the worms in the system adapt to match the food supply. Hungry Bin is very simple and easy to use, and I think it looks great too.
Which from all the bins I have followed, all the commercial made bins, the Hungry Bin seems to be one of the better ones. So this is the T55. I have it raised up because the liquid's going to drop down there. It's going to be outside, so I don't know if I'm going to put a cup to catch it or a bucket to catch it, or if I'm just going to let it go into the soil. That leach it just right out. So I think it's I think it's up there. I think if you want, I mean, I don't know what else to talk about. It's just holes. This top lid here, I used a jigsaw. Wear your gloves and wear some eye protection. My jigsaw goes on an angle. I don't feel like doing one. I'll show you later on when I make some of my Eve grow towers. I got to do the same thing. But my jigsaw goes on an angle, and I cut that right off. It's so easy, but wear glasses for that one and wear your gloves for safety measures, because you got to take full control of that jigsaw if you're going to cut that out. There's no dubbing around with it. You got to be forceful, and you've got to not be gingerly with it. You got to take full control of your jigsaw, because if that thing gets ahead of you, it could be very dangerous. So that's the dangerous part of it. The holes, of course, these 1/2-inch holes here are, I use a 1 1/8 drill bit. Gatorade bottles, which I recommend right here for the aeration holes, the bigger. I use these aeration holes fittings for my entry points on my towers as well. These work. These are an 1.5 drill hole. You'll figure it out when you start Eve growing. This is prototype number 1. This is prototype number 2. Give you a sense of the size. A lot more working space with this one, of course, but I think you have just enough for here. And the beauty about the wheel one is, a wheel is you go like this, get that wheel, shake your castings, all the bottom is being shooken up. Whereas the T55 second prototype, you turn it here, and just that middle bar goes in there. I think this one, the prototype number 1, is fine. This is all you need. 55-gallon drum. I think this even has more room than the Hungry bin with its space. You know, you got the drain hole, one drain hole here, and this one has drain hole. So it looked taller in some of the pictures because I did have it on a block. But this is pretty much how tall it is right here. I'm about 5'7". I used to be 5'8", but I'm 5'7" now, so that's pretty big. That's a lot of that's a lot of work area right there. With the T55 second model, it requires, again, a whole 55-gallon drum and half a one. So 3 of them makes you 2 T55s, second prototype. 1 bin, this is good enough, guys. There's enough space in here, right there. And of course, I'm going to put a hard cover, since this is going to be outside now, since I've deactivated it out of my basement, and I'm going to reactivate it outside. I'm going to put a hard top on top here, so I'll put air holes around here. Like this one, I was working outside for a little bit, and I have air holes here. Both, I think, compare to any worm farm that's on the market. And go on Facebook, look who's selling these 55-gallon drums, and you get them for a song and a dance, probably. So that's all I have to say for now about the T55. If you need to build one, I could build one. And I don't need another one, but I have family and friends who might. So that's all I have to say. God bless. Over and out.